This is Legal Live with Eddie and Chuck Farah. They're talking the latest legal news and answering your questions. To call Legal Live and ask Eddie and Chuck a question, grab your phone and dial 855-765-1045. That's 855-765-1045.
Welcome. You're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. Feel free to give us a call today. We'd love to hear from you. Our number is 855-765-1045. I'm Sheifalika, and I'm joined today by Eddie and Chuck Farah. How's it going, guys?
It's all good, Sheifalika. Good to be here.
Good.
It's good to be anywhere. But,
I hope everything was, you guys are okay after this massive storm and whatnot.
Oh, yeah, it was okay. But, you know, we have an office in Fort Myers, and it's been rough down there. We were closed for a couple of days this week, but the power's back. So we've been down. Chuck and I are going down there the next couple of weeks to kind of see what's happening, see what we can do to help.
Yeah, a lot of our employees are really. We have one employee that
she's been ferrying people back and forth from the island.
Yeah, she owns a boat,
Wow.
and she's been the whole week. She's been ferrying people back and forth.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
there are a lot of people doing some cool stuff there.
Yeah, that was kind of.
Everybody thinks the federal government's going to come in and take care of everything. You know how that is.
No.
The people, a lot of these people in Fort Myers are dependent upon themselves, and their neighbors are really stepping up.
Yeah.
The stories we're getting from our lawyers down there is that really it's the neighbors who are doing all the work. They're coming in, they're helping each other. Some people are, like I said, are landlocked. There's no way to get off the islands,
Right.
or there's just they don't have anything, and so the neighbors are stepping in. Everybody's helping each other, which is so cool.
Yeah.
You're going to be hearing a lot of those stories
That-
as time goes on.
Absolutely, you're right. After any big tragedy like that, it's the stories about people coming together and rallying together,
Yeah.
with communities becoming so much more ingrained. And, you know, we take care of our neighbors. That's how we are.
Yeah,
and that's part of the beauty of at least storytelling and the news after devastation.
Well, hopefully the governments will do their share. You know, I mean, that's the
Of
least they
course.
can. I mean, yeah, they got to step up and pay these people and make sure people get. I mean, so a lot of people didn't have insurance, and they still need to get some help those people out because they lost everything. But anyway, we're here to take your phone calls today. That's our main. That's what we're here for. Chuck and I are here to talk about what we want to talk about, but your phone calls are a priority. So if you have a legal question, call us. If you have an opinion, maybe we don't agree, you don't agree with what we're doing or what we've said, we want to hear it, because there's more than one side to the story. No matter how thin you slice it, there's still two sides. So we want to know.
like that.
We want to know what you got to say. It's more important than what we want to say, to be honest with you.
Oh, I think that's what makes.
We listen to each other all day long. We want to hear somebody else.
Yeah, and that's what makes your show so special. But that's why we get dozens of calls every time.
Yeah,
So
that's
he's
what-
right. Our number is 855-765-1045. Well, let's start off with just whatever you'd like to go with today.
Let's start off with this fact scenario, okay? You go to the mall, you park your car, you get out. Next to you is a brand new Bentley. You know, they got a Bentley dealership in Jacksonville now, so I figure I'll use that as an example. And that's a high-dollar vehicle. It's a real high-dollar vehicle. So you look inside the Bentley, and you see it's a summer day. It's July. It's August. You know, it's 110 degrees outside.
Right.
And you look inside the car. I mean, the windows are up. You see a pet, a dog in there, or maybe you see a child even. You know, like a kid, like an infant or a child, or maybe just an elderly person. But it's 110 degrees outside, and you go, "Wow, man, that's awfully hot." I mean, it's burning out there. How can there's no air conditioning on, the car's not running. And so you try to unlock, you pull the handle on the door and the door is locked. You can't get in. What is your liability if you take a tool out of your trunk and you bust the window open of that Bentley to rescue that dog or that child or that vulnerable adult?
That's a good question.
Florida has a law that says you have a right, if you feel that the person in that vehicle or the animal in that vehicle is in imminent danger, and you have a reasonable belief to believe that person's in imminent danger, you can bust open that vehicle and not have liability for the property damage. It's a Florida law.
Wow.
It's a Florida statute. Now, you got to have a reasonable belief that the kid's in imminent danger, and the child's in imminent danger. So there are things, but if you have a reasonable belief, you have no civil liability to rescue that person. Now,
that's a smart law. I mean, whoever put that just makes all the sense.
Imagine,
Why would you prevent somebody from saving, or even,
listen,
even if they're not sure? I mean, at least you're safe.
If you see a child in the car, I mean, at that point, who cares about the civil liability? You're going to save a life.
Who cares? Yeah, it's so much more important.
Yeah, much more. But a lot of people maybe would be reluctant to get involved.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're afraid of getting sued. What if you bust open the window and, some of these cars have AC. Like if you got an electric vehicle like a Tesla, you can run the AC while you're and you don't even hear it.
You don't even hear the engine.
Yeah, you don't either. Yeah, exactly.
But you can check the dash if the lights are on or off, maybe. I don't know.
But you want
you
people
can
to
knock and see if they're okay.
Well, what if the owner says, well, the AC was on, or I was just in the car I was in the store for just a minute, and I didn't plan on staying out that long, and they want to sue you for the damage to the vehicle. They're not going to be able to do it as long as you follow the statute. And the statute just requires that you call 911 and at the time you do it, and that you stick around for the police to arrive.
Right.
They want you to. You just can't bust the window open, let the kid out, or let the dog out, or let some air into the vehicle,
right,
and then just take off. So you have to stick around.
Right.
You have to have a reasonable belief that the person or the animal in that car is in imminent danger, and you got to call 911 and stick around to the police to get there. You follow those rules, you're safe. Okay, we got to take a break.
But my Bentley.
Scott,
don't worry about your Bentley.
That's my question.
That's why they got insurance, Scott. Don't worry.
Yeah, who pays it? I guess the owner of the car got to repair
the
it.
insurance. Yeah.
Well, they saved the kid. They saved the elderly. They saved the pet.
Yeah. So who's carrying? Scott's worried about his Bentley.
But that's Scott.
Yeah.
Scott's,
the Bentley.
That's how Scott is.
I know.
You know what? For our listeners out there, we have our most beloved board op, our producer, our extraordinaire. He's Scott Young in the house today, so today's going to be a great show. We're about to take a break. Go on and roll it, Scott. We'll be right back, and we've got some callers on the line, you guys, so we'll come right back to that. You're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. Feel free to give us a call at 855-765-1045. We'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back. You're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. Give us a call at 855-765-1045. We've got a full house today. I'm Sheifalika, and I'm joined with Eddie and Chuck, and we've got Scott Young in the control room. Let's go to our first...
All-star lineup.
That's right. That's right. Let's go to our first caller, Don from Jacksonville. What's going on? You've got a question about deductibles and hurricane policies.
Yes, I do. I've got a standard $1,000 deductible on my regular homeowners, but I've got a 2% hurricane, which puts me at $4,200 if I file a claim. Wind blew a tree limb down through our privacy fence. It's probably somewhere between $1,500 and $2,500. I have yet to file anything. My question is, it was not a hurricane when it came through, and there were no hurricane force winds that registered. Can they try to save that hurricane and enforce the $4,200, or is my deductible $1,000?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know how to get the answer to you because we have an attorney in our office that does nothing but that. I think the 2%, though, isn't the 2% just for the roof, or is it for everything?
No, it's hurricane. Any damage to well, I mean, you're the lawyer, but the way I read it, it's across the board. Any damage from the hurricane is 2% of appraised value.
Yeah. Have you talked to your agent about it?
No, like I say, I have been kind of hesitant to either file a claim, not file a claim. If it was a claim under hurricane, then it didn't make any sense to even do it because it wasn't going to cover $4,200.
How much is the damage?
I mean, I've had 2 two contractors that I know come by anywhere from 18 to 2,500.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
what they're.
Okay.
So, if it was 1,000, it might be worth it. Or if I do file a claim, they come back, oh, that's hurricane. I didn't know if I had
But
a
remember
claim
that-
that no, it wasn't a hurricane at the time.
Well, have you filed the claim to see what the insurance company's response is going to be?
No.
Okay.
My initial impression is
Right.
it's not a hurricane.
Yeah.
I mean, the winds weren't hurricane level.
Yeah, by the time it got here, it wasn't a hurricane. Yeah.
Yeah.
They called it. They still called it Hurricane Ian.
Once it got offshore and redeveloped into it, but I think
Okay.
I think
you could do it two ways. You could do it two ways, and then I can get you a number of a person who could probably I can get you an answer on Monday, but after I talk to him, because I know the personal injury world, but we do first party claims. We have an attorney who handles nothing but this type of stuff. But what you could do is file the claim with the insurance company, because I think under your policy, you may have to read it, but you may be required to notify them of any type of incident, whether you whether you want to collect the money or not. It's like in an automobile case. A lot of people say, well, I'm not going to notify my insurance company that I was in an accident because I'm going to fix the car myself. Well, if you read your policy, you have to notify them, whether you try to collect the money or not. So you could jeopardize your future policy if you don't notify them. So you should notify them and see what they tell you. If they try to say, well, you get $1,000 deductible and it's $2,500, we owe you $1,500, or they may say it's a hurricane, and if you still want to pursue it, we can help you with that. I can get you an answer. So it depends on what you want to do.
Well, now I guess the other question and the big curveball on this one, I don't know, is the limb that the big half of the oak tree that the limb fell through the fence is actually on an abandoned property next to me that the city owns.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make a difference as far as liability or who caused it? Or
Well,
I don't know if you could prove it.
you're
I mean,
gonna
you
try to
see where the tree split. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's an act of God. So you're not going to, unless the city knew or should have known that limb was like deteriorated or rotten, it's going to be very difficult. There have been some cases where people.
Very good. I'm familiar with the act of God clause. I do construction contracts.
Right. So if you can show, I mean, there have been cases where people have been injured and killed from fallen trees, and the city has been sued for that when they were aware of the fact that the tree was getting ready to fall down. So,
this was never been documented or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably never.
So it's going to be tough to prove that. But that's why you have homeowners insurance. Now, have you tried to file a claim with the city? I mean, was the tree? I mean,
Well, you'd have
visibly
to show
rotten?
that they were notified of the
Yeah.
No,
decay.
I mean it was. I don't know that it was visibly rotten. I mean it's a old oak tree with all the rain and everything. It was in the wind. It just split I guess where the trunk splits off. One of the big limbs or splits of the trunk. I mean it was probably 20 feet long and 4 feet around.
Wow. Yeah. It may be difficult to hold the city responsible for that. So my
advice.
advice.
I mean, there again, it all goes back to what if the deductible is going to be charged, whether it's worthwhile. I guess that's where it starts.
Yeah. The other question is, and I mean, this is the other one. Do you really want to? I mean, is it? You know how these insurance companies are? They pay you $1,500. I mean, do you? Are you better off?
And then they up your
Yeah.
They up your rates to $1,800.
Yeah. Are you? Don seems to know what's going on out there.
Yeah, he knows. He's in construction. He knows.
Yeah, he knows. So you always wonder. I mean, if it's a catastrophic claim, obviously you want to collect. But do you really want to go collect $1,500 from the insurance company when they may underwrite you and just say you're a high risk and charge you a lot more? I don't know. And that's the question. That's the other question.
Because of your roof or whatever. Yes, I mean, that's what I was weighing out, and that's why I was concerned. Obviously, if it's $4,200, you don't mess with it at all because you're not going to get anywhere. But
I have a question.
Okay, well, guys,
I mean, if you want me to, if you want to leave your number, Don, I will talk to the attorney next week, and I can call you and tell you what his take is on it.
That would be great.
If you just leave your number with Scott, and I'll call you back, and I'll give you the answer from him. because he's handling hurricane claims now. That's all he's ever done.
I figured. I heard your office down in Fort Myers got hammered, so I figured you would probably have some inquiries about it.
Yeah, we're up and running, but we got some damage. But
I have a question. All the rain we had the prior week, like those 4 or 5 days up until the storm came to our area, that was rain caused by the hurricane. It may not have been hurricane force winds, but we knew and we had warnings from meteorologists that said the ground is saturated, trees and branches could be falling just because of a little wind, because the ground is already, or trees could topple or whatnot. I don't know if that is tied to hurricane. It's just a question.
Yeah, I mean,
it could be. I mean, that's why they're lawyers, because these are issues. They're going to have an argument.
It's not black and white. But
we had no flood or water damage, so you can't attribute anything to excessive rain other than softening, like I said, weakening the root systems. But the tree didn't uproot. It split at the D of where the main trunk goes up and branches out into 3 prongs. One of the main prongs fell at the trunk.
I see.
I don't know if you visualize a live oak, but how they come up and then they fork out. Well, at the base of the trunk, there was 3 prongs. One of those prongs.
Well, you have a really good question. I want to find out and report back next week what the answer is, so everybody kind of knows about it.
Yeah,
'cause that's an interesting fact scenario. That's what I like about this show. You get these really interesting questions. They're like law school questions. I mean, that sounds
peeling the onion and you never get through the layers.
No, you're right. I want to find out for my own benefit and for everybody else's benefit who are listening, so I can report back next week and give them the answer to it.
That's right.
But that's a good question there, Don. And we appreciate you calling in and telling us that. It's
absolutely.
Really cool.
Yeah. But what these insurance companies do, they're slick. They got this 2%. Because they've calculated the numbers and they know that most of the claims fall within that 2%. And they don't have to,
Exactly.
And Don knows that. I mean, they calculate the risk. They know how many claims they paid out and what the average claim is, so they can make it 3% next year, That way they hardly pay out anything. You're basically self-insured is what unless something catastrophic happens.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We'll leave your number, Don, with our producer, Scott, and we'll be right back after this quick break. You're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV. Welcome back. You're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's news and talk. We've got a couple of callers on the line, you guys. Let's get right into it. We've got Marjorie from Jacksonville, and you've got a question about elder law. Tell us about it.
Hey, Marge.
Hi, guys. Hey, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I know elder law is not your wheelhouse, but I'm looking for maybe some resources if I could. My husband is an only child, and his father is showing signs of dementia for about a year now, and they're in North Carolina. So his mother is she doesn't drive, and she totally relies on him. So we really want to help protect his mother.
Okay. So
what would you suggest we do?
Okay. First of all, you have to have so the mother's not able to take care of him, right? The father?
No.
Okay.
No, she's not.
Okay. So you have to have him declared incompetent. You got to go through a legal proceeding.
Go really well.
Huh? What's that?
That's not going to go over very well.
Well, I know, but you want to create a guardianship. I mean, maybe I used the wrong word, but I mean, you want to be able to. Yeah, you're going to have him evaluated. Then you're going to have somebody appointed as the guardian over his person and property. And, you want that way nobody can take advantage of him. Cash checks, take money. You know how that goes. You've heard stories of that, I'm sure. So, you want to get control of the assets and him, so that way you can make sure he's okay. So you're gonna have to hire a lawyer if they live in North Carolina, you're gonna have to hire a lawyer up there to do it. And you typically the attorneys who do it are elder law lawyers or estate lawyers, like probate lawyers. They do a lot of that. Most of them do that type of work. And you probably also want a durable power of attorney. And there are some other things you want to get during that process that allows you to make sure he's okay and that his wife and the mother's okay?
Yeah, he's very resistant to anything and very much in denial.
I know, but it doesn't. But what happens is the court. Once you begin the process, the court will send somebody out to evaluate him. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's not you. I mean, the court's going to appoint someone, like a psychiatrist or somebody in that field, who will interview him and report back to the court. I mean, it's not automatic. You're not guaranteed that. It's going to be a legal decision based on his medical situation.
Maybe, do you think maybe it's too early to start? I mean, if he's still aware and
it depends. Will he take care of himself? I don't know. I don't know what the standard is. That's why you want to talk to a lawyer up there. He'll tell you whether or not a guardianship should be created at this point. Are y'all's names on the accounts? Are y'all on the accounts too, or just him?
Just him, not even his mother.
Yeah, well, that could be a problem,
Yeah, and we've heard that, you want to get in front of it so that he's not in a situation where he's not able to make decisions. So just getting to that point where accepting of our help and our support.
Yeah, or he can make the wrong decision. He's a vulnerable adult right now, so. Yeah, but I think you got to reach out to a lawyer, and you could, you could probably, I don't know what city he's in, but you could call the bar association in that city, the local bar, like, if he's in Charlotte, North Carolina, you could call the bar association there, and they could connect you with an attorney that does that kind of stuff.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Say if she was in Jacksonville, if they were in Jacksonville, you could call the Jack's Bar.
Well,
and for $50, she could sit down with an elder law lawyer for 30 minutes. That's the best deal going. I love broadcasting it because there's nothing like it in the country that I'm aware of.
That's right.
These lawyers are.
We've been trying to get them to come to Jacksonville, but they just refuse to leave their home.
Yeah. Well, if they were here, it'd be a lot easier on you to get all that done because you're gonna have to make a trip, maybe 1 or 2 trips up there to get this done, at least.
Well, Marjorie, I have that phone number for you for the North Carolina Bar Association, if you'd like it.
Yes, please.
You ready? Okay, it's 919-677-0561.
One more time.
919-677-0561.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And good luck to your family. This is it's a tough issue, and I can feel for that.
Yeah, but they're there to help. They
right.
want to help the man. They don't want to.
Right.
They want to help him out and make sure.
It's tough when you're an only child. You don't have other siblings that you can.
Right.
Help.
Oh yeah.
That's true.
And you hear the horror stories of people who take advantage of people like that.
Right.
People that take their money. They take everything from them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And good luck. Oh yeah. Well, let's sue them. Well, the guy's already spent the money. You can't get blood out of a turnip. You get nothing.
Right.
Right. So.
Well, good luck.
I appreciate it.
Isn't there the issue?
Thank you for calling.
If he gets homebound, or into a home, then
you lose the house.
Then you could lose the house and the assets.
Yeah, the Medicare takes.
So Medicare would
file
a lien against everything.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I assume they're living on their own right now, and you don't want a lot of times people move into a nursing home and they end up giving up their house to Medicaid because they're paying for the nursing home.
My
so
goodness.
You lose your home.
So if Medicaid pays for the nursing home, then they get to attach
your house,
all the assets to get reimbursed for what
all
they
that
paid
money.
out.
Wow,
so
I didn't realize.
There are things you can do to protect the home.
Right.
But you've got to talk to an elder law lawyer about it. Okay. Now's the time to do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we have another caller on the line, Brian from Jacksonville. You've got a question about a time limit on collections, on loan collections.
Hey,
What's
Brian.
going on?
How you doing, Brian?
Great. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, man.
Doing well.
In 2001, I got a loan for about $11,000, and then later down the road, about 2005, estimated, I forfeited on the loan, and a different bank bought out that bank I thought they wrote it off, when they did their taxes or whatnot. And now the new bank is coming after me, and they put a lien on my vehicle.
Okay.
Is there anything I can do?
Yeah. Well, here's what happened. Here's what I think happened. Okay. First of all, to collect a debt, it's a breach of contract. There's a 5-year statute of limitations, which means like if I defaulted on January 1st of 1990, they have until January 1st of 1995 to file their lawsuit. Okay, there's a 5-year statute. If you tell me they have a lien, you've probably already been sued, and they got a judgment against you. And it sounds like you don't remember being sued, but it sounds like they probably already sued you. Do you know?
Yeah, I never had anything to show up to. Nobody called me there. I got a couple letters in the mail, but that was it.
Are you sure? Did you never got served papers by the sheriff or anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Did this happen in Duval County?
Yes.
Okay. Have you been down to the courthouse to see if there was a lawsuit filed against you?
No, I don't know how to do all that.
You can just go to the clerk's office at the Duval County Courthouse, and they'll do a name search, and they'll tell you if you've been sued or not.
Okay. Is there anything I can do? Because they say I owe them $33,000 now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, what's happened is that $11K. It's been 20 years with interest. It's probably $30,000 now.
Yeah,
With interest
attorney's fees.
And court cost and attorney's fees. Yeah. I mean, that's something you got to look into. I mean, just putting a lien on your car, they can come pick, if they file a writ of execution, they'll come get the car, to get their money. But
right.
I think what you need to do first, you may have to talk to a lawyer about, some debt relief, some some reconstruction. I don't know what that's just a lot of money, So you really want to talk to a lawyer, but before you talk to the lawyer, you want to find out about the lawsuit and see if there really was a lawsuit filed. Because if they didn't, maybe sometimes they served the wrong person. Maybe you got a name similar to somebody else and you never got the paperwork. You can have that judgment set aside. So
Right. The only thing I see on the paper that they did wrong is my last name starts with a L-A and they put a L-E. So, but when it came on the envelope, it was spelled correctly, but on the actual letter, I believe it was spelled wrong, my last name.
Yeah, but did they ever send you a copy of the lawsuit or the judgment from the court?
He had to be served, man.
He doesn't remember. I know, but I wonder if they served the wrong person.
I never received anything never had anybody come to my door and give me anything. I've received a couple of papers in the mail.
Yeah, but a couple of papers in the mail don't mean anything. You got to be served by the sheriff.
You're entitled to due process, and that means having proper notice of your lawsuit.
Yeah.
And if you haven't gotten proper notice, you may be able to throw it out.
Yeah.
So like I've always been low income, and most of us don't know how to go through all the legal stuff. So I have a customer. I have a small lawn business, and a customer is an estate lawyer, and he gave me a name that he says the guy works for you now. I didn't know if I could talk to that guy later this week or.
He works for who?
He works for you.
Okay.
Farah and Farah.
Yeah. We don't really do that kind of. We're a personal injury firm. I don't know.
Right.
Well,
I think he used to do that before he started working with you.
What attorney is it? You know, remember?
Josh Khalil.
Oh yeah, Josh.
Yeah.
You know what? I can ask him. He's doing a lemon law work right now, but I'll tell you what. Leave your name and number. Maybe I can look up. We have a way to look up from the courthouse. Maybe we can find out if you've been sued or not. But the best way to find out is to go down there and just have the clerk say, "Listen, here's my name. Were there ever any lawsuits against me?" Doesn't cost anything to do that.
Okay, yeah, I just right now it's really tough because I work pretty much 7 days a week,
by the time the courthouse, they close at 5 o'clock.
So,
yeah.
Right. So that's why I didn't know if I could talk to a lawyer and if they would know, could find out something for me.
Well, leave your name and number. Let me talk to Josh Khalil. Maybe he can look up something for you.
Hey, Eddie, would this be something that he might be able to look up on Duval Clerk's core system or something?
Can. If you can, yeah. I was going to suggest that. You can go to COJ.
And I can look at my name. I know how to look up the stuff under people's names and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can go to the clerk's, their website, and you can go to the civil division, and you can look up where they have all the lawsuits listed, and you can look up your name and see if anything comes up.
Okay.
That's right.
That would work.
That's coj.net, right?
You could go to the cityofjacksonville.net there, or you could go to encore.duvalclerk.com.
Yeah.
And that's
the other way.
that you can officially search records. That's
Right.
the site.
Yeah.
That's encore, CONCORE.duvalclerk.com.
Yeah, because if you did not, and in that file, if your name shows up, then you need to go to the courthouse and look at it and see if you ever served with a penny. There should be an affidavit in that file that says on this day, at this time, I showed up and I served Brian at this address, okay? And if they got the wrong guy, you can have that thing thrown out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a basic principle of fairness in the court system.
Due process.
It's called due
Due
process.
process of law, Can't take away your rights without giving you a chance to be heard. But
what about them just coming after me about 20 years later? Can I?
Well, you can have it stopped. I mean, if they got a judgment, they can come after you.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, if I could able to at least get some advice from Josh, or if you can find anything out, that'd be great.
Well, leave your number and I'll talk to Khalil about it.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much for calling in, Brian. You're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. We'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back. You're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV. We've got a caller on the line. Jerry, you came here from Colorado down to Florida. I did the same thing from Denver to Jacksonville. Welcome.
Oh, you did?
I did.
We lived in Broomfield, right next to Boulder.
Oh, that's awesome. I remember visiting that area. Well, you've got a question about legal documents. What's going on, Jerry?
Well, we've permanently relocated here to Atlantic Beach, and we brought with us our major legal documents, the will and the medical and power of attorney, etc. Are those papers good in Florida, or do we have to see an attorney and rewrite new papers?
If those documents comply with Florida law, you can use them here, but they have to be in. So, for instance, let me just tell you. Do you have just a will, or is it a trust will? Is it more than just a?
It's a will.
Oh, just a will. Well, I'll tell you simply. I'm not an estate lawyer, but I can tell you a will to be valid in Florida is going to be signed by the testator, the person who's making the will, and there have to be two witnesses. That's basically.
Yes.
But that's now you want a self-proving will, where this notarized and all that, because that shows. Because otherwise, you got to track down the witnesses to make sure they saw this person sign it, and that can be troublesome sometimes. So, but basically,
all of them are notarized.
Okay, so it's probably self-proved according to Florida law. I mean, I'm not a state lawyer, so you probably have the will's probably valid. Okay,
they have the right number of witnesses and all that.
Yeah.
But it's probably all I mean,
yeah,
the state rules are pretty much similar.
All right, very good.
But I mean, you still, what it wouldn't cost. I mean, again, you should avail yourself of the Jacksonville Bar Association. For $50, you could talk to an estate lawyer. As a matter of fact, I have a friend who'll probably do it for you as a favor. Matt Henson, he's an attorney who's been on the show. All he does is estates. I'll call if you leave your number with our director Scott. I will give you his phone number to where you can call him and ask him, and he'll probably tell you over the phone.
That'd be wonderful. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed the show. Very informative.
Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, but if he doesn't do it, if Matt won't call you back, or I think he will, but you never know. So some of these lawyers get real busy; they forget to do that. But you can always call the Jacks Bar Association and talk to an estate lawyer for $50, who will tell you everything you need to know. Best deal in town.
Very good.
Okay. All right.
Very
Great.
good.
Well,
Thank
leave
you.
your number, and we'll check back with you.
That's right.
Matt's a good
Will
guy.
do.
Okay.
That's very cool. And just in case you need it, the Jack's Bar Association phone number for Jack, it's 904-399-4486. But
I'm not trying to blow everybody off today, but it's just like they're all questions that out of my realm of knowledge. It seems like.
But you're the man with the connections.
Oh, I got the connections.
All
I can
the
tell you
attorneys and
I do.
Feels like
I know
forever.
some lawyers. Yeah, after 40-something years, I do know a lot of lawyers. Okay, and I can get the answers if I don't know them. Believe me.
Yeah, and I can only imagine when Eddie Farah asks you to do something, I'm pretty sure they're like, yeah, we got to do that right now.
Well, no. But there's just a lot of nice guys out there. I mean, I can pick up the phone and get some help for people. It's really cool. I mean, most lawyers you call don't mind spending some of their time to do something like that, which is good. Yeah.
That's very cool. Well, welcome to Atlantic Beach, Jerry, and we hope that you can get all the help that you need and the clarification. Yep. All right. Well, you guys, it's been a really interesting show today. We've had so many interesting topics, from hurricane policies to guardianships, and
I got a lot of homework to do, Sheifalika.
I know you do.
I gotta come back. Stay tuned. Everybody listening, I'm going to get answers to all this stuff next week. Okay.
I love that. I'm
going to go. We'll start the show off with talking about the hurricane policy.
Yeah.
We'll talk about, the wills out of state. We'll talk about all kind of different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully Brian is going to find out that he was never sued.
Yes.
And that person trying to collect that debt can take that $30,000 note or whatever thinks he owes and
I hope he doesn't have to do that.
Just throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
I hope he finds out that he's free and clear on that, and he can come back and write them a note and just hold it up in front of them and says, "In your face."
In your
exactly.
face.
We're rooting for Brian.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to all these answers you're going to have. And, for our listeners out there.
I tell you, Sheifalika, I got these. There are people that try to collect money, just can send letters out and they get money.
Wow.
It happened to me.
What?
I got a letter for like a toll. I guess I was in Tampa or somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I swore I paid that toll like twice. And I got another bill for the toll. And I sent the check.
Wow.
And I think I've paid that toll twice. So people will pay
I'm
money.
going to start sending you a bill.
I think I've paid for that toll like 4 or 5 times now.
Yeah.
Note to self, production invoice.
Production invoice, Scotty. Well, thank you everyone for calling in today. Legal Live is brought to you by Farah Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. We love our callers. We'll be back again next week at noon on Saturdays. Tune in, and thank you so much for listening.